Jon Sumrall is Florida's new head coach, and he is definitely better than Billy Napier, much to Brandon Olson's happiness.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
This crossover of Locked On Gators and Locked On the Portal. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making both of our podcasts a part of your day, each and every day, right here on the nation's #1 podcasting network, Locked On. We are brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The winter games are actually going on, which are a lot of fun, and there's no better way to follow them than with a bet on FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. We're going to be discussing all things Gators, and throughout, I want to talk about the trenches. We'll focus on it a lot at the end, but we'll be talking O-line, D-line pretty much throughout the show in some way, shape, or form. And part of that are the position battles. We'll talk about that. Quarterback, running back, there's all kinds of different things for backup spots, starting spots, rotations, lots of things to get to. One of my favorite players in college football has transferred down to Florida, Eric Singleton. That guy's a dude. I think he holds the key to the offense because we're still not sure about quarterback, but you definitely have an NFL level receiver coming in. And then just the overall theme. I'm going to ask Brandon in many different ways. Basically, did Florida improve its roster through the recruiting and the portal combined? And let's start with that right there, Brandon. Looking at the portal group overall, thoughts about it? We'll start there. Were you mad? Were you happy? Is there any position you're concerned about? Where are you with the Florida Gators? Because I think it's a pretty good group, but I have a couple questions, and I'm curious if you answer them before I even go right at you.
Yeah, I like the group overall. I really appreciated how it felt like for a lot of positions and a lot of players, they were going for guys that had multiple years of playing college football, but also had multiple years of eligibility remaining. A lot of the guys they brought in have been at least, at minimum special teamers, rotational guys for 2+ years, have 2 years remaining. I like just having that because you have guys who could step in, have experience, and I think raise your floor. I think that, you bring in a receiver that's got 1,000 snaps played in his career, you know what you're getting instead of if you put a freshman out there, if injuries come up. And you got guys that, can come in, be rotational pieces for you this year, step into larger roles next year. I would have taken a slightly different approach in some position groups than Florida did, specifically at offensive tackle. I would have swung for the fences. I would have gone for it from day one too. Not just Jordan Seaton entered the portal. Florida is a name to keep an eye on, which to me always felt like Jordan Seaton hit the portal and Florida went, hey, can we get money together for this? And the answer is ultimately no. But I would have hammered offensive tackle. I would have gone for a higher quality nose tackle, or frankly, I wouldn't have let Mekhi Boyroe walk, which ironically enough, you and I recorded the show. And that evening, Mekhi Boyroe entered the transfer portal. After third segment of that show, you were like, who's the one guy you don't want to lose? And I said Mekhi Boyroe. So sucks there that he's now at Ole Miss. That was great timing, by the way. But I do think overall the approach was really solid. It was Florida's best portal class we've ever seen because it was way more active than they've ever been in the transfer portal under Napier.
That is true. They were more high school centric, which I'm okay with, but I didn't think they patched the holes they needed a la Ohio State in 2024 or a la Indiana in 2025. Like, you still got to find some big names and pull out the wallet. To that end, Aaron Philo comes in. He's quarterback, comes over with Buster Faulkner from Georgia Tech. He threw for about 5 million yards in high school. I mean, it was insane. Played at Prince Avenue Christian. It's a really good program just outside of Athens, Georgia, but it's still 1A private school ball. It's hard to project. He played a little bit at Tech, but he's behind Haynes King. There's just no way to play. So he comes down. He's going to be competing for the job. What are your thoughts on him? And I don't even know how to grade him because he doesn't have enough snaps for me to even go watch. It's just, I don't know what to do. What are your thoughts on Philo?
Oh, it is 102 passes thrown, not a substantial amount that we've got from Aaron Philo, because right now you've got Aaron Philo with about 102 and Tramel Jones with I want to say it's like 35 passes, and that's the battle. That's what it's going to be. Look, Aaron Philo has years with Buster Faulkner, right? He knows that offense like the back of his hand. He's been in it. He's got some guys with him from Georgia Tech. Bailey Stockton, someone that he threw the ball a ton to in high school and at Georgia Tech. You got Luke Harpring, one of the tight ends that was in that rotation. You've got Harrison Moore, starting interior offensive lineman from Georgia Tech. So, it's not completely unfamiliar, but for Florida, now you've got Aaron Philo coming in with his OC versus Tramel Jones, who I know that I irritated some people saying this yesterday. I don't know why they got irritated other than it's the truth, but not like we've seen Aaron Philo play in a pressure situation, right? In 2024, he had a game-winning drive against North Carolina State. So we saw him in one pressure situation. We've never seen Aaron Philo we've never seen Tramel Jones in that. Tramel Jones has played in 2 games in his career. It was a blowout win over Long Island and a blowout loss to Kentucky. We've never seen him in a game that matters and snaps that matter. So I think it's just really interesting because neither of them are experienced. You could say one is more experienced than the other, but neither of them are very experienced. Aaron Philo, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe this is just me. I have legitimate concerns about velocity on the deep ball. I feel like there were quite a few ducks up there, and I think that you can get away with that against Gardner Webb, which, by the way, he didn't get away with that against Gardner Webb. He threw a pick on a deep ball to the right side. But you can get away with that more against Gardner Webb and against the ACC than you're going to against SEC. And that's not even to do like an SEC is so amazing thing. Better athletes generally come there. And so you're going to have to throw that ball into tighter windows downfield. I don't know if you got it in you.
Yeah, that's kind of my concern too. And there's just not enough data to really say anything else. It's crazy. On that end, the receiver rooms and the corner room, and the safeties too, there was just a gazillion guys going in different directions. And I'm just using them as an example. Are you worried that there's just going to be so many new pieces that they're going to have paralysis by analysis in some cases, whether it's offense or whether it's defense, special teams, or am I overestimating here?
I think it's overestimating a little bit, only because I think that they kind of had this approach of we're bringing this guy in and these are the expectations. And then once we're out through that tier, we're going on for the next guy. So I feel like they kind of brought people in to say, hey, compete, but these are the expectations that we have right now. And there's going to be guys that shine. I know that we've gotten great reviews from, the weight room and everything with Kanye Clark, the DB that came in from UCLA. Great reviews back with him. But when he joined, I was not thinking oh yeah, he's going to be a guy that I expect to start and play significant snaps right now. He's been in college for 3 years, but because of an actual red shirt and then a medical red shirt, he's got 3 years of eligibility remaining as well. So he's someone that has experience, but still a lot of room to grow. Played nickel to start last year, moved to outside corner. So I think they brought in guys and said, hey, you're going to come in and compete, and whoever wins it, wins it. Whoever we think is best is best. They've said we're going to write names in pencil so that we can quickly erase and move guys around the depth chart, which might be a paralysis by analysis thing, because you might just change so often that you then end up screwing yourself up there. But I hope not. I'll say that. I hope not. But I do think that they've got a general plan with a lot of these guys on how they're going to use them, even with heavy rotations.
All right. When we come back, I want to talk about Eric Singleton, the wide receiver room. Is it going to be explosive? Because the last thing Florida has been recently is explosive. And I know you and many Florida fans are tired of it. And I don't even like Florida, but it's boring to watch the Gators. And that was never the way it was prior to the.
Yeah, thanks, Billy. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, well, that's why I opened with the show the way I did. They certainly made an upgrade. I like Jon Sumrall. He's a good football coach. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that. Florida is going to have an explosive passing game again. It's about time. That is next here on the Portal Podcast crossover with Locked On Gators. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone who will take a job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move. because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, skills, certifications, location, experience, you name it, they're going to match what you need. And if you're going to be hiring, also getting it done fast without spending more money. That's why Indeed is one of the greatest companies on planet Earth. They do it the right way, and they've been doing it a long time. So, listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get you the job, the premium status that it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. We are also brought to you by FanDuel. The Winter Games are officially here. And if you're anything like myself or anybody else here at the network, you're checking in on all the events and having fun with it because the Winter Olympics are awesome. It's one of the biggest stages, but it's only once every 4 years. And that's why you should follow the Winter Games on FanDuel. It makes sense because they got medal counts, they've got the individual events. To finding your angle on the sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. And hockey games, whether it's luge, whether it's anything else, you're going to have fun with it. Speed skating, you name it, different ways to bet. You can even do parlays, have fun with it on FanDuel. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to check them out than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. Thank you once again for making Locked on the Portal and Locked on Gators a part of your day. Check out the description down below for a link. The Everydayer Club, the best part, in my opinion, the audio. If you're taking your pods on the go, $5 a month or $50 for the year, no ads. Simple as that. You can check it out at Locked on Gators, Locked on the Portal, or anywhere else. Honestly, that is the Everydayer Club here on the Locked on Podcast Network. All right. Eric Singleton. I think he's one of the best players in the portal. Transferred from Georgia Tech, so he obviously knows Buster, down to Auburn for a year, and now he's at Florida. I have very high expectations. We're both in the same boat. The quarterback situation, just got to let it play out. But this guy put up numbers when they weren't exactly the 88 49ers up at Georgia Tech, and they sure weren't the 88 49ers last year at Auburn either. Okay, let's be real honest. And he's still producing pretty good numbers, and he's one of the more explosive guys. Do they have the people around him, you think, to be a high-flying offense if quarterback works out? I tend to think so. Dallas Wilson, etc. Who would you think is the most likely starting lineup? Eric will be one of them. What do you think the lineup's going to be?
I think it'll be Eric Singleton, Bernard Brown III, Dallas Wilson. I think those will be your top three receivers out there. Hugh Freeze belongs in prison for what he did to Eric Singleton last year. That was just atrocious. Like that, and just Eric Singleton having, his two productive years in college at Georgia Tech with Buster Faulkner, with this offense, and Haynes King at quarterback is part of what makes me go, I mean, if it's Aaron Philo or Tramel Jones, like, I know Buster Faulkner can scheme guys open. Like, I know because I watched you be incredibly productive throwing the football with Haynes King at your quarterback. Like I know what you could do there. But yeah, I think Eric Singleton Jr. It's nuts to me that as hyped as he is, as productive as he's been throughout his entire career, I feel like right now he's flying a little bit under the radar amongst Florida fans, because I think a lot of Florida fans are doing the whole VB3's a legacy. He was a 5-star in some sites. He was our most productive receiver last year. Like, he's amazing. Dallas Wilson had a great game and a half, and he's going to be amazing. And I kind of feel like everybody's like, oh, who's going to be your top receiver? Bernard Brown III or Dallas Wilson? It's like probably Eric Singleton Jr., probably the best guy in the room. Like I've seen Florida accounts go, is Bernard Brown III and Dallas Wilson the best wide receiver duo in the SEC or in college football? And it's like, well, considering they're not the best wide receiver duo on their own team, probably not. Like, I feel like Eric Singleton's a dude. I know that there was legitimate NFL interest in like second, third, late second is the earliest I was told. Third round is way more likely, but like, that's first off, that's still a great contract spot to go in, especially after last year's second round picks started getting fully guaranteed deals. But also, like, you got that on your team. Like, that's a great spot to go in, and you just got to get, it's like, you know what? I can improve it a bit more. Let me do that again.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The only question now is, does the depth develop, and does tight end, et cetera, and all the pieces? Running back's going to be good. I think Ball, and to be honest, one of the guys I'm excited about is Wyndon Montgomery. I think he's a pretty good player. Like at most schools, he would get more carries. Jane Ball get the lion's share. But if that's one of your backups, you're pretty good spot. And on top of that, they got Evan Pryor. Their running back room is pretty stacked. Tight end, I don't know as much about, but they got like guys like Micah Mays coming off the bench at receiver. Even if tight end's not elite, they've got enough receivers, I think, that are pretty good. Over under 28 points per game for the Gators this year. Offensive line's my concern. That's coming up now. I'm saying this before we talk about offensive line. And that was strategic. Because if they had a better line, I'd go 31-32.
Yeah. I'm gonna say over. I'm gonna say over.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, part of that is because, like, first off, I'm a big Buster Faulkner guy. Before we even had a head coach, it was like, I hope whoever comes in brings Buster Faulkner. And luckily, that's what happened. Was very productive. I know ACC, SEC is different, but like, it's putting up points in the ACC versus other ACC teams is you having equal talent there. To me, like that, I think
Balanced league. It is.
Yeah, it's doing in the ACC. Like you're doing it at the Power 4 level. I think you can do it. I think you got more dynamic weapons here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you can do there. I think they're going to go up tempo a bit, and also, Jon Sumrall has very openly said, like, I know I'm a defensive guy, but we want to light up the scoreboard here. He doesn't seem like a complete BSer to me, and I feel like. You saying that means you better go put up some points. Again, the slightly easier schedule, I want to say, this year. On paper, there's a lot of just questions. So we'll see there. But yeah, I think 28.5, I'll take it.
Okay. Well, we got to ask about O-line then. What's the problem spot or spots? Because I've tried to piece this together a couple times before we talked about doing a show today. And I never came up with a definitive answer for myself, and that's pretty rare. I'm pretty good with the portal. It sounds like spring is just like, let's just see what happens. Am I wrong on that? Or do you at least have like 4 guys you think penciled in? Where are you with the O-line?
I think that TJ Shanahan will be your starting right guard.
Okay.
I think that Harrison Moore will either be your starting center or left guard. He's played, throughout his career, he's played basically the same number of snaps at center and left guard. And I think that because of guys like Rod Kearney, Najee Harris, who have, positional versatility on the inside, I think you could just say, hey, we're going to let everybody compete for things. And wherever guys fit best, like whatever the best 5 is, that's what it's going to be. If that's Harrison Moore at center and someone else at left guard, then so be it. If it's Harrison Moore at left guard and I don't know, Jason Sandamella at center, then so be it. Offensive tackle, no clue. I just got no idea what the move is there. They are reportedly very high on Emeka Ugorji from Stanford, who played a lot of right guard and right tackle, and they expect him to try left tackle here. Egan Boyer from Penn State, I was not super enthused with his film, but like I've said many times, I've seen him play basically 2 games of football in his career.
Right.
Bill Troutwine has had him for 2 years and brought him over and didn't have to bring him over. And so I kind of trust that. Trust Harrison Moore on the interior, but like tackle is just questions, right? Like Caden Jones wasn't good last year, but that's not to say that, with better coaching, which they will have on the offensive line, obviously, from Rob Sale to Phil Troutwine. Not to say with better coaching, he can't be better. That's not to say Fletcher Westphal, we have no idea what he was going to be last year. He missed the entire season. Tackle is going to be interesting. I don't like that they kind of just went, hey, we're going to get a bunch of guys that we view as you need to compete for the playing time here. Like you need to compete for the spot. And we'll have really good depth. And it's like, that's awesome to have really good depth. But what the hell is your starting 5 going to be? No idea.
Yeah. I was looking at Ugorji's stats today on PFF.
Yeah, they're not great.
Not great. It looks like the Mafia 1920s movies where they shot up a bunch of people and there's blood everywhere because his red dots all over his grades.
Yeah, he had, what was it? 24 pressures allowed and 7 sacks, I think it was. Like it was like 4 of the sacks came against North Carolina. 4 of them came against North Carolina at the end of the year. Which I'm not saying this to make an excuse, but I am going to bring up the question of what his health was like in that North Carolina game and toward the end of the season, because
it was really bad at the end. He couldn't have been healthy.
He didn't start the year wearing an elbow brace, and he ended the year wearing an elbow brace. So I'm not sure if that was anything or if that was just like, you know, how kids are. If they're just like, you know, I got to look good, whatever it is. But yeah, he didn't start the year with one. He ended the year with one, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, we come back, talk a little defense, and then just the trenches in general. If Florida is going to get where they need to go, whether it's 26, 27, they've got to improve. How long should it be? We're going to talk about that next right here on the Portal Crossover with Locked On Gators.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Number 1 ranked UConn dominated Tennessee 96-66, turning a halftime tie into a historic win and avenging last season's loss by delivering the largest margin in the rivalry's history. AZ Fudd had 27 points and Sarah Strong added 26 as the Huskies remain perfect on the season, reminding everyone why they are the reigning national champions. In the Big Ten, number 2 UCLA rolled past number 8 Iowa 88-65, powered by 22 points from Angela Dukelich and a huge advantage in the paint, staking their claim as a national threat. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right, now it is time to finish up with some predictions. How long will it be before the Gators are putting guys into the NFL consistently, et cetera? And we'll talk about a certain young man that's transferred from Jacksonville State, but like from a consistency standpoint, because they've lost too many games that I've watched in the last 3 to 5 years because they're not really Florida in the trenches, like especially O-line. We already went over that, so we'll save you from really diving into that much more. It's a hope and a prayer at offensive tackle until otherwise proven for the Gators. But D-line, there's some hope.
They got some dudes out there.
They got some dudes. They got some. Obadejo comes over from Jacksonville State. And for those who don't know, he's a hooper. It's now a football guy. He's 6'6", 6'7". He's 305 or something like that, playing defensive end. I don't know if they're going to use him for. I assume they're going to run a lot of 3-man front, recruiting guys like that. But he could probably play 3-tech and at 4-3. Maybe they'll run some combo stuff. But he's a rare guy. Had over 20 pressures, 5 sacks. Okay, that's one guy. Who else do you think will fill out the starting lineup for UF up front along the D-line?
I think you're going to see a lot of Brendan Bett. Really, really looking forward to what he's going to bring to the table this year. You're still going to see Jaden Woods, your starting jack. That man is not going anywhere other than the backfield, hopefully. No more dropping in coverage for him. And then I think you see a competition at nose tackle, really. I think you're going to see more, or you could, I don't think they will do this, but in theory, you could go light and put a guy like Brendan Bett at nose and put a different 3-tech. Like if Jeremiah McLeod's your next best guy, then do that. Jamari Lyons back at nose. Joseph Mbachu entering year 2 in Gainesville with what is actually going to be a strength and conditioning program. So looking forward to that one. It's not just a cool dude with tattoos that rides a motorcycle, puts his hat backwards and packs a dip. Someone that's actually, strength and conditioning coach, been there, done that. You got guys. I feel like it's a fair thing to say that Jaden Woods starting at jack, Emmanuel Obadejo and Cam James are going to be your F. Whoever wins that. Brendan Bett's going to be your 3-tech. And then nose tackle is going to be Jamari Lyons, Joseph Mbachu, DK Kalu, whoever wins those battles. But that's what I anticipate being the starting four right now. And frankly, I'm pretty good with it. I would have preferred that you went after a nose tackle, but I also know that this portal cycle in particular, nose tackles were getting paid. So you kind of went, all right, we'll use our money elsewhere. We can use a 9th receiver in the portal. Why not? Let's just do that one.
I'm not going to comment on that. But nonetheless, Florida, I think the roster, correct me if I'm wrong, at the beginning of the 26 fall camp will be better than the roster in 25. Now, I know the DJ Lagway, the quarterback thing, I get it. Offensive tackle wasn't good last year either. But you and I were curious about DJ because he was banged up, and we're like, going into last season, and obviously that killed him. So I think the first thing Florida fans should be happy about, barring something unforeseen, knock on wood, they should have healthy quarterbacks competing in spring, throughout summer, and into fall camp. That's really all you can ask for there. Then your offensive line, you hope doesn't get them killed, but the defense up front should be able to stop the run better. I think they'll be more clutch. I think they got more depth to handle the back end of the SEC slate, which again is not friendly. They play Ole Miss at home or on the road.
That is on the road.
They got that game.
Yeah.
Georgia is the neutral site game. Tennessee this year, where do they play the Vols? It's up? Oh, it's up there. They don't play the Vols? They're off the schedule. That's crazy. So Florida finally gets beat by them, and now they're off the schedule. That's weird.
Yeah.
But their schedule is still not easy. The depth,
a lot of question marks on it.
Yeah, is the depth there to at least compete? Now, the first 6 games, I think they'll be okay. Teams in the SEC are good, have the depth after the injuries to sustain and go 4-2 or better down the stretch. Is Florida in that boat? Maybe. You and I are pretty steadfast that like getting to 9 wins with this schedule, probably not easy. They got Auburn on the road. Like that's one of those question mark games, and their schedule's full of those. Texas and Oklahoma's on the schedule, probably not good. I'm going to go 8-4 if everything works out. If they have any quarterback problems, it could be 6-6, 7-5. Am I off?
I don't think so. I've said, I think expectations 8. I could see them getting 9. I can. But yeah, I don't think so. I also think that, part of it for me and why I don't want to do the whole Florida's back, we're right back here. And it's just like no idea what the hell is happening at quarterback. And I don't know if you know this, but pretty important position. I don't know if we've
There's a newsflash. Quarterback's important. That offensive tackle spot is also another one.
Yeah, offensive tackle spot, another one. And no idea what the hell they're doing at either of those. So I could trust Buster Faulkner all I want, but end of the day, you're still gonna have to block people. You still got to complete passes. I've got questions about those that prevent me from just saying, hey, we're all the way back in. I really like the improvements to the roster. I do. And really like the improvement to the coaching staff. I'll tell you that. But yeah, it's tough for me to just fully dive in with it when I think, again, there are a lot of question marks. Like I mentioned, Auburn, Ole Miss, Missouri, South Carolina, Kentucky is a question mark. Vanderbilt's a question mark. That's just in your SEC play. And while I say question mark, like those teams could all suck, but they could also hit the ground running. Like Alex Golesh could hit the ground running right away at Auburn. Awesome. I know that he took a lot of USF kids, and people are like, oh, I don't know about that one, but
Byron Brown is one of them too, and those receivers were good.
Yeah, so it's like they could still hit the ground running. Like I say question marks, but guess what? Every other school is also looking at Florida as a question mark. They're like, yeah, we've seen what Jon Sumrall's done, but he hasn't done it in the SEC. We've seen what Alex Golesh has done. He hasn't done it in the SEC. That's it. We've seen Pete Golding lead a college football playoff run. That's cool. He wasn't the guy that got them there, and that matters a lot too. So I think there's just a lot of question marks where I still view 9 as I think the ceiling. But yeah, I think 8's a much more reasonable result. And also, like, most of us should be happy with 8. I know there's going to be a bunch of people that go, you should win 9, 10, whatever it is. You should be happy with 8.
I think that would be a successful year 1. And year 2, I think they got to win more than 8, and they got to beat some teams with more brand names, like Texas. And at some point, I'm going to push you on it this year. When does Florida beat Georgia again? That's going to be the question because they
who's to say it's not 2026?
This guy. It's not going to be
know.
this. It would be cool because the Florida Georgia game used to be one of my favorites to watch. It has not been as of late, although this last year they had a chance and they completely let it slip away, which was in true Billy Napier fashion. He wanted to leave you guys with a memory you couldn't ever get rid of. But anyway, Brandon, tell everybody where they can find your work, my friend.
Locked On Gators every single day, twice a day, even.
Yeah, there you go. Locked On Gators. You can find it on all the same places you can find the Portal Podcast, Apple, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon, and of course on YouTube. This has been a crossover, Locked On Gators and Locked On the Portal.